for great adult children.
Awesome.
It's definitely in the community. And he did run for Senate 2 years ago, what?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So he was...
Let's talk about the founding of the Distinguished Gentleman's Club.
Absolutely. So about 8 years ago.
You said you're a mother, so how many children?
I have 5 kids.
Okay.
They started saying that I was their African American, and they got this from our president. You know, they were voted by.
What were you doing when you were child? The first or the second time? Before the first time.
So I was in and out.
Good. Awesome. So that really is a great place to transition.
And who is sitting across from me or beside me is never going to sway that.
Listen, man. One, I'm not gonna cry on this episode.
Yeah.
I made it through all of these episodes. I think I've cried once in Congress. What are the things that you're most proud of accomplishing? You know, as a congressman and as whip.
Real Talk with Rajon.
Yo. Hello, world, and welcome back to Real Talk with Rajon, when nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. I am your host, Rajon Lewis. Now, here on Real Talk with Rajon, everything's debatable, so on any given week, we could be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. Now, for those who are new to the show, Real Talk with Rajon also has a goal of shining a light on the great people and the great causes that are happening right here in the Low Country and beyond. So we started out right here in the Low Country. We started out in Charleston, South Carolina. We expanded out. We got over we had to other time zones. And today, we have just crossed the border into Canada. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Good Vibes. Toronto's in the building. Thank you so much for joining me, sir.
What's going on, Rajon? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Please introduce yourself to the audience, bro.
Everybody listening, I'm Mr. Good Vibes, and I'm a motivational speaker, but I do it in a very unique way. I'm sure I'll get into it, but yeah, my mission here is just to spread good vibes, and right now I do it through public speaking all over the continent.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you being a part of the show. Let's just take it back to the beginning. Here on Real Talk with Rajon, we like to sort of take slow walk from the beginning to where we are now. So tell us about young Mr. Good Vibes. What was little Good Vibes like?
Man, little Good Vibes was the kid who got picked on. I'll keep it real. Like the kid who was too scared to ask out a girl he liked, to the kid who got cut from soccer teams, the kid who didn't have confidence, didn't really know what he wanted to do in life. And the reason I got into public speaking is because I know a lot of kids are going through some similar struggles like that. And I feel like they just need someone that they could relate to and can show them like, yo, even through all of that, you can make it to another point in your life and be great and do great things. So little me, I'm not too confident in, but the new me, what I turned into, I'm very happy and proud of.
All right, so let's dive a little bit more in there before we even get to like the new you, because I love that. But I also think it's important, especially because I work with a lot of young people, and when we met on Clubhouse, that's one of the things that we were talking about is like dealing with the youth. What are some things that you were maybe the things that you were sort of teased about that sort of took away from that confidence?
For sure, I was made fun of for a lot of different things. One, I was born to teenage parents. We didn't have too many fancy things when I was coming up, but they did their best, and I'm thankful to them forever. And I was the kid who had this big peanut head. I had a unibrow. I was the skinny kid, right? Like not too good looking to society standards. And I was just made fun of for a bunch of different things because I wasn't really good, really know what I was trying to be yet. Some kids, as they're growing up, they're good already at basketball. They're already like 5'10" in grade 4. And some kids are really good at math. Some kids, excel in different areas. I do not, like, I'm not kidding when I say I didn't have anything I was excelling at.
Wow. So where did the shift happen for you?
It happened before I entered high school. I liked soccer a lot. It was my first love before business or speaking or music or anything like that. And I was like, okay, I know I've been cut. I know everyone's told me I'm not good enough, but I have a goal. I don't want my parents to pay for university, right? I want to go play Division I and have everything paid for. And I think I could do that. And I just said, what's it going to take? So I started researching and seeing what everyone else was doing who was already good at soccer. I just put the work in for the next 3 years before I entered high school. And by the time I got to, my sophomore year, I had several Division I full scholarship offers. Wow. Just based off of hard work and just outreach.
I love that, man. I love that. You're a grinder. You're a grinder. So one, you're from Canada, right? So what part of Canada are you from?
Born and raised in Toronto, yeah.
Born and raised in Toronto. Okay, cool. Is it anywhere that Drake raps about in his songs? Like any of the zones that he raps about?
He says,
is
yeah,
all of Toronto the sixth?
No. Honestly, here we don't really even like call it the six. There's some parts in his songs where he does talk about certain areas like Western Road flows. That's actually close to where I grew up. I think he references Scarborough, where the weekends from Scarborough. Yeah. So he has a lot of references around here.
Word. I had to ask a Drake question because I'd imagine that you can't talk to a person who's from Canada without mentioning Drake at least once. I think it's in our contracts if you do a podcast. So
I get it all the time.
I'd imagine. So you start out non-confident kid. You know, you find your niche, you find your thing, you become a grinder, you go to college. So tell me about your university experience.
Well, I'll start with before I even entered university. That's where Good Vibe came into play, because I realized, yes, I wanted to play soccer, but my end goal wasn't to go become a professional in Europe or something. I had a deep love for business ever since I was like 13, 14. My dad put me onto this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it introduced me to like thinking differently about money and, you know, becoming entrepreneurial. So I went on my block when I was 14. I quit my job the first week I had it. I think I was working at a theme park. I said, let me try and go make some money some other way. So then I started knocking on doors around my neighborhood. And I was like, hey, can I cut your grass? I was with my cousin, just two little black kids, you know, like 13 and 12 years old. And I was just like, can we cut your grass for $20? And eventually that turned into like 20 different people in the neighborhood. And then I was like, okay, I got to get some help. So I started hiring some people, got my grandfather to show me how do I get into like interlocking and more complex landscaping to get bigger contracts. And that turned into a great summer gig for me for a few years throughout high school, where I made, you know, so significant money for any teenager. And then I was like, yo, business is sick. Like, it was so exciting for me to make money out of nothing. And I said, what if I could do this at a larger scale? And then I started, as I progressed through high school, I knew I wanted to pursue business. I didn't know what exactly, but I knew I wanted to do it. So then, to answer your question, before I entered university, my senior year, I sent my scholarships. I chose a school to go to in Boston. I was going there, but then I got injured towards the end of my senior year of high school. Like, there's 5 months left of high school. And obviously the coaches weren't happy because I was fooling around playing basketball, to be honest. And it jeopardized everything. But I still had my scholarship secured for 4 years. But I was in a rough spot because soccer was everything for me. And there was a lot on the line. So I needed something to uplift myself. And that's where Good Vibes came into play. Good Vibes was a hashtag I seen online it's very popular now. Before it wasn't as popular. I said, yo, Good Vibes, I like that. I said, what if I put that on a t-shirt just to remind myself every day, let me just have good vibes. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And then I worked to school and everyone was like, oh, and it started catching on. So I was like, okay, this reminds me of my entrepreneurial days. What if I started selling t-shirts, $20 a pop? And then next thing I knew, like at lunchtime, I sold in 20 minutes, I sold like a couple hundred tees. I was like, whoa, okay, there's something here. So then through other high schools, I started forming anti-bullying campaigns based off of just good vibes, positivity, because I wanted more people to be positive and happy regardless of what was going on in life. And then that turned into a whole movement of itself. And by the time I got to university, I realized, I said, okay, I love business. I don't even think I'm going to go through all my years of university because I'm making a lot of money and it's just with t-shirts. Right. And when I got to university, I played a couple seasons. I was scoring some goals. I was having fun, but I started touring other university campuses selling these Good Vibe shirts. And I said, yo, this could turn into an actual brand. So I took some time off of school to explore it. And then I ended up getting into marketing because companies started looking at me as, hey, this guy understands a generation and he knows how to sell products to them. And obviously what he's doing is working. Then I landed some big contracts with large brands in Canada and actually the States, like Tim Hortons, Loblaws, Cineplex. These are huge enterprises that I was getting marketing contracts for and I was doing work with. And then that was where I decided, you know what, I'm going to take some more time off of school. It's not the right path for me. I love soccer, but I've created something for myself here for business. Yes, I explored, and I know education is great. It's just everyone has their own path. I would never encourage a student not to go to university. It's just my path. So that was kind of my college journey.
Wow. I love that, man. I love that, even going through it, you're constantly recalibrating, like, okay, maybe this isn't the thing. Like, I worked hard to get here, but you didn't allow that to keep you in that lane just because that's where you were. So you start doing, so when you were doing the t-shirts, you said you were doing the speaking stuff at that point as well?
I had not started speaking yet. I actually, there was no plan in there to become a public speaker. I can get into that more though. I didn't want to keep rambling on. I wanted to let you kind of create your flow,
here we let people talk here. So yeah, so keep it rolling, man. Like, so the t-shirts are going, you got the branding stuff happening. When did the motivational speaking aspect come into it?
That came into play when it was like a couple years ago. I'm 22 right now. That happened a couple years ago because principals saw what I was up to in my hometown and were like, and churches and local people, they're like, hey, you have a great story, but you came from to where you're at now. We would love for you to speak to our students. And at the time I was like, I had heard of public speaking, but I wasn't like, oh, that could be a sick career and turn into something. I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. Let me come speak to your students for free. The first ones I was doing, right? But then I noticed like a spark. I noticed the first ones I did, literally the first high school I ever got to, I set up a prom date on stage because I was talking about living life with no regrets. And the students responded to it. And I just said, why don't we do it right now, bro? Yo, you in the pink shirt. You have a girl you like in here? I'm very lucky he responded and said yes. If he didn't, it would have messed up the flow.
Right.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let's do this. If you ask out your crush right here to prom, I'll go on Instagram me too from my followers and I'll ask them out too. So we'll be in this together. And he was like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. So he came on stage in front of like 1,000 people, I think. And he just did it. And everyone was like, yo, this Mr. Good Vibes guy is awesome. Sir, can we have him back? And then that started my speaking career because the principal was telling me like, bro, you have something here. You need to keep doing this. I'm going to refer you to some principals. And then I said, okay, let me reanalyze this. Because once again, young entrepreneurial mind, I was like, no, there's more to this than just public speaking. What I'm doing here isn't just getting on stage and creating a speech. So as I kept going throughout Toronto and just, speaking to all these students, I said, what if I could turn this into more than just public speaking, right? Because the public speaking game has been the same for a long time. After I got into it, I realized what other speakers were doing and I started seeing what was going on. And not discrediting any other speaker, what they've done. Just, I think I bring something different to the table when I'm talking to the youth. The way I was doing it, like I had a DJ playing music. I was throwing out free t-shirts in the crowd like it was a NBA game. I said, okay, that's a start, but we could take it up a level. Then with this whole, the past year before COVID, I started incorporating, okay, what if I had an MC intro me? And then we started doing bigger giveaways. Like what if we have sponsors who could give me free, Burger King became a sponsor of mine. I started people in the audience for participation. Then I started partnering with like Dave and Buster's where we get free games for everyone. I said, okay, this is working. The students like it. Fast forward to today, a year after, 2 years after me starting the speaking game, I have a whole live band with me on stage now. Wow. And they are playing instrumentals that these kids know through TikTok, like hip hop music, relevant culture, while I'm speaking over a beat. So it's almost like I'm freestyling like a rapper would, but I'm delivering a keynote. And I'm still doing giveaways. We're giving away PS5s and Xboxes. It's just evolved into something huge. And literally next Friday, we have a Miami school board show we're doing virtually. It's just turning into something crazy.
Wow. I love that. I love, I also do like speaking and motivational speaking. And I always find the interesting things that people add to it to make it, more relevant to the kids, man. I love, the stuff that you just shared, just the way. And I think, you being so young definitely gives you more of an ear towards, what things kids actually like. Now, one thing I did want to point out, because you mentioned the musicians, I've seen you in the pictures with the guitar. Do you play?
I do. I took quarantine to learn how to play because it's always been a dream of mine to actually be able to play an instrument. And I said, yo, what if I could get on stage and while I'm speaking with my band, cue in an instrumental that they know and be like, all right, 1, 2, 3, let's roll. Just get everyone hype. And then so I do know how to play now. Okay,
that's fire. So you play lead, right?
I play rhythm and I let my the actual pro musician play.
Oh, so that lets you chill a little bit. Like, okay, you do your thing.
Now.
I'm gonna look cool back here. Oh yeah. You're gonna be ripping off the slash riffs in no time. I love that. I love that. Cool, man. So you got that going on. You got your speaking going on. Like you told me the story about the kid in the prom. What's your coolest thing that's happened since you've been speaking?
definitely getting sponsored by these huge brands like Burger King and Dave & Buster's are my two main sponsors right now, title sponsors. Just that was a crazy moment for me because when I first started speaking, I had a vision. I said, what if public speakers could get, sponsored like athletes or rappers could? I think I could turn this game into something cool. And, at first fellow colleagues were like, how are you going to do that, bro? Like people thought I was crazy. And I was like, I'm going to show you.
It's always crazy till you do it.
Of course. And then I just made a list of the top companies I wanted to work with in certain industries. I went around all of Ontario, which is our, I guess you guys call it state, so it's our province. And I saw the head offices, and I literally had a pitch saying who I was and what I'm doing, how I think I could help them. And I started knocking on doors, just like I did back in the day with my landscaping company. Wow. Started knocking on doors, seeing who would answer. Sometimes I would pretend I'm delivering a good vibes package to the senior marketers and as a thank you, just to get in the door with the secretary and be like, no, I'm just delivering something. Then they would come like, oh, I heard you have something, because who doesn't like free stuff, right?
Right.
So then I got their attention for 2 minutes. I was like, yeah, by the way, I'm Mr. Good. I just really, you don't know me, but here's why I think you should. And I think this will really intrigue you. So then I showed them I had, and then some companies were like, I'll take a look at it. Never heard back from them. Some companies were like, it's not really for us. I was like, okay. But then you get a couple who are, what is this? Okay, let's have a meeting next week.
Yeah.
Get the meeting, you pitch, you build relationships, and here we are. And I'm still building relationships and still trying to aim further. But getting sponsored to me was the coolest thing so far.
That at 22, that's nuts. Like to have that kind of foresight and that kind of drive at 22 is amazing. And I just want to commend you on that, like out the gate, like just the things that you've told me in the few minutes that we've been talking so far. Like I'm already so blown away at your mindset. Where did you develop that?
Appreciate it. Big shout outs to my pops. My dad, it wouldn't be right if I didn't give him a shout out at this point, because he put me on to the whole entrepreneurial mindset. He did a lot for me, bro. Like when I was first starting business, he showed me some stuff in sales, because he was a salesman early in his career. Showed me how to not be scared of rejection. Public speaking, he put me in public speaking classes when I was 12 years old. He said, you're going to need this one day. I don't know what's going to be for, but it's a strength everyone should have. And I hated it. I wanted to watch cartoons on Saturday morning, not practice public speaking. But he said, you're going to need it. But he just did a lot for me, man. And I'll forever be grateful. And of course, my mom did too, but business side of things.
Yeah, I love that. So how often do you get to the States? I know you said you have something in Miami. How often do you get to the States to do shows?
I actually moved to California, Los Angeles, right before COVID hit. And then a week later, it's like bad timing, terrible luck. Then COVID hits, right? And Cali gets shut down. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing. So I was like, okay, let me go to Toronto where I could organize a little bit more things, because that's where most of my base is in the team and where we work out of. And I was like, okay, so I'll go back there. I'm back and forth between Cali. Now we've incorporated Florida, Texas, and Las Vegas into what we do. So with boards and stuff. So we're just keeping moving, right? We can't stay stagnant throughout COVID.
I love that, man. I love that. So where do you see this thing going long term for you?
Do you know who Tony Robbins is?
Who?
Tony Robbins.
Oh yeah, definitely know Tony Robbins. Yeah.
So that's the one guy I look up to right now. Well, one of the main guys I look up to. I think it's fair to say he's the greatest of all time in terms of public speaking. The stuff he's accomplished, the level he's at. He's like our Michael Jordan for public speakers.
Right.
That guy, what is he? He's worth 500 mil. Everyone knows him in the speaking world. I'm ambitious. I didn't start this game and sacrifice everything I have to, just reach this, right? Because life is usually this. I like to aim for this. Yeah. And I'm trying to go for that. I'm trying to chase Tony. I want to get to the point where, me and Tony work on stage one day together. He notices me for everything I'm up to. And I want to be greats, man. I'll keep it real. I want to go down as one of the greats when it's said and done. I want people to be like, yo, that Mr. Good Vibes, he inspired me, but yo, he's the greatest at what he does.
I love that. So have you been able to meet any of your heroes in the game, in the speaking game?
I spoke with, the closest I've got to Tony Robbins is I've spoke with his tech team who puts on his shows. Because the virtual stuff we do now, we do it in a way that actually caught their attention, and I was able to get a meeting with them, and they want me to use Tony Robbins' studio. that he does, like he has a 6 show virtual show where it's like faces on screen. It's a huge room. It's nuts. And we're actually in talks to make that happen. I just have to organize with sponsors and school boards. It's a lot of organizing. But I think I'll meet Tony within the next 18 months for sure. I think it's very possible.
I love that. So I have Les Brown. Les Brown is like my guy. Like that's the one that if I met, like when I remember when he got on Clubhouse and I was like, oh, Dip, Les Brown's on Clubhouse. I'm about to lose my mind.
The guy's a
because
legend.
there was like a period of time where all I did was listen to Les Brown speeches. Les Brown, Eric Thomas, of course. So me and my wife went on our 10-year wedding anniversary. We were renewing our vows in Antigua. And there was a guy who had the ET hat and he looked like ET. And I could have sworn it was him, so much so that I told my wife, I'm like, baby, I think that's Eric Thomas. And she's like, who's Eric Thomas? And like, he's the hip hop preacher. He's like the greatest speaker on the planet. He's like so dope. And I low key followed this dude around, like low key, until I actually worked with the nerve. We were watching the NBA finals. And we just ended up in the same space watching NBA finals. I was like, hey man, you're not Eric Thomas, are you? And he was like, no.
Damn.
But he knew, he knew who it was. And he said he actually met Eric Thomas once. So we had a laugh. But he was a really cool guy. Shout out to that guy from Texas. I can't remember his name right now. But when I think about, I see you on that trajectory, man. Like people speaking about, I just keep coming back to your youth. And I know a lot of people look at youth as a when people talk about youth, they look at it as some kind of knock on a person. I see it completely differently. I think when people are young, they're not afraid of the world. They're not afraid of failure. They have a lot less failure. Even Tupac talked about the fact that, the older a person gets, the less likely they are to be a revolutionary. How do you think your youth assists you?
I think it's had its downsides for sure, because when you enter boardrooms asking for serious money, they look at you funny until you prove that you belong at the table and you know what you're talking about. So, but on the flip side, it's great because I think I have so long to reach what I'm trying to reach. Right? Tony's 60 right now, or 61. It was just his birthday. I'm 22. I'm not saying I'm going to take my time. I'm trying to reach greatness of all time, like greatest GOAT status as soon as I can. But it just gives me such a long runway. Like I'm not going to age out in 5 years. Like I'm going to keep adjusting my audience. Right now, it's middle schoolers with a mix of high schoolers. Then it's going to turn into high schoolers with a mixed university. Then it's going to turn into university. Everyone's going to keep aging with me. Then it's going to eventually be adults. And we could do this game. This game is, I love being young because I have a lot of plans and a lot of stuff I want to do. And God willing, I live long enough to fulfill all of that.
I love that, man. What brings Mr. Good Vibes down?
That's a good question. That's a good
Real
question.
Talk with Rajon, that's what we do, man. We ask the good questions here.
That's a good question because I can't remember the last time I was like literally sad. Like it's been a while. I've not just been. You know what brought me down? The fact that I couldn't speak in person anymore. I'll keep it real. That's the only time I can remember I was down. Like with COVID happening, and it might be cliche because everyone was affected. But I'll keep it real right now since we're on Real Talk. When COVID first happened and I was forced to adjust my game plan because I had so much planned for that year, I was actually sad. I didn't do nothing. I didn't talk to nobody. I wasn't on social media. I just disappeared. I went ghost for like a good month, I think until May, June. And I was just thinking, I threw myself a pity party. I was like, damn, bro, like that really just happened. And that was the first time I've been down in a while. But then I said, come on, bro. Like you're Mr. Good Vibes. Everything you're trying to do, you can't disappear when the people need you the most, right? Yeah. And so I was like, nah, it's not what we're gonna do. You're not gonna reach Tony Robbins when you just disappearing when things get tough. Right. So I was like, okay. So then I got up. I said, what can we do because students, they're not gonna listen to you if you're just gonna Zoom talk on for 60 minutes. Like that's not what we're gonna do. What can we do that's gonna be fun and engaging and that's gonna change this whole game here? And I was like, what about music? Like, I love music. I've always wanted to play an instrument. So I said, what if we were able to have a band play virtually and still deliver a keynote? That's where the whole band thing came into my head. I said, okay, cool. And then thinking even long term, I was like, if this works out, we could put on stadium shows in a couple of years with the school boards where 80,000 kids come out. I bring out Drake or Lil Baby, and then I bring out their favorite TikToker, an artist or athlete. and now it's a whole show. I said, okay, let me get to work on that. So I started piecing the pieces together, and I came up with a final product. By December, we had our first like test virtual show, and then the school boards all saw it and were like, yo, this is sick. When can you do our board? And here we're at performing for Miami next Friday.
Wow, I love that. So it's a virtual event for Miami, but can you even, is it virtual to where like anybody can watch, or is what's that?
So they're signing up on privacy reasons and concerns with middle schoolers. I think they're signing up through Eventbrite.
Okay, yeah.
But the replay will be posted live.
Yeah.
So it's like Mr. Good Vibes YouTube channel. Yeah.
Nice. Well, check it out, man. I'll make sure I share it out, man. I try to make sure anybody that comes on the show, I put any support that I have, behind it, because it's important, especially, as we're working our way up, like you said, people will try to be, I call them wet blankets. You'll say, I have this thing that I want to do, and people have all the reasons and all the excuses why it won't work. And mainly what they're saying is, it's not going to work for you because I was too afraid to try it, or it won't work for you because it didn't work for me. It's sort of like on the 5 Heartbeats. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Eddie King is he's the lead singer of the group, and he's a great singer. Everybody tells him how great of a singer he is, but he goes to his dad, and his dad says, "You ain't gonna be S because I ain't S." Straight up. And there are people that are going to come into your life that are going to do that to you. So I love the fact that you're the person that says, no. You can't tell me that because I know what I've come through to get here. And that's what's going to keep you going. I just love that about you. And I want to see you win.
Appreciate, like, you don't understand, and people don't understand, not just you, I'm just saying that, but like people don't understand how much heat I get for saying that. Like, the students love it, right? The kids are like, yo, this guy, we've never got anything like this at our school. So thank you for what you're doing. I never get any heat from students. But I don't even want to call out anybody with like principals or educators. We'll just say naysayers or people stuck in the old way of thinking. I get a lot of heat for trying to tell kids they can go and do anything they want because and people, it's a valid argument. I get it. People are scared. They say, well, what if that kid doesn't make it? Then what are they left with? But my argument is like, okay, let's say someone dedicates their whole life to being, this is a popular one, being a video game player, right? They play 14 hours a day. They study 14 hours a day. They study streamers. They watch videos, all of that. Maybe they won't go on to be the next ninja and be making, $80 million a year, whatever it is. But guess what? If they become that good and dedicated through their craft, they can maybe go start coaching other players or run an academy or program their own games because they become so committed to like, there's other options that come out of being great at something. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, and then they're like, yeah, but it's hard. And what if they still fail at that? And I'm like, anything in life is hard. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's just, but you wouldn't believe the pushback I get sometimes, bro. It's crazy.
Oh, I can believe you. I was a teacher. So I definitely, I definitely can believe you. So like, just the point that you just made about the fact that people will shun, they'll say, okay, a kid will say, I want to go to the NBA. And they'll say, well, you can't go to the NBA because, you have it's 1.7% of people who play basketball go to the NBA, Like, yeah, that's true. But guess what? Like you just said, if a kid dedicates their whole life to that, they could probably go play in Europe. They could coach. They learned enough skills. They've dedicated their whole lives to this thing. So there's other skills, there's other competencies that come out of it. You learn hard work, you learn dedication, you learn practice, you learn how to lead, you learn working in a team. You learn all these different things from playing basketball. Shoot, LeBron's whole team of like people who work with him, from his agent to his chef to the people who do everything for him, were all people that were on his basketball team. So just being in proximity allowed them to have that ability to be able to move along with him if you do it the right
100%.
way. So I love that. No, tell them like pursue your goals. I tell kids all the time, pursue your goals. Like, think, but pursue your goals. Go after it, man. So what do you tell the people who say to you, Mr. Good Vibes, what you're doing, it's not going to last? What do you tell them?
I hear that a lot as well. I hear, even with all the positive I try to put on in the world, there's still haters, bro. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, it's like, bro, what am I even doing? You know what I mean? But I get it. I understand. This is what I hear a lot. Like, oh, yeah, you're only cool now because you're 22. Or, that won't last forever. I've heard other people say that. or yeah, you're only cool because you do giveaways at your shows, right? I've heard so much nonsense. But honestly, to answer your question, what do I say to that? I don't say nothing. Their opinion really, what I'm not even capping here. I'm not even saying this to sound cool. Like, their opinion just does not matter to me.
Right.
The only opinion I care about, literally care about, is my audience. So if the students ever have something negative to say about the way I'm doing something, that's when I listen, because that's my audience. That's who I actually care about. And I don't look at it as like, oh, those kids are hating on me, or like, what do they have to hate on? I'm looking at it as like, okay, shoot, there's 1,000 kids who said, yo, you're the coolest dude in the world, but I can't let that get to my head. But there's still one who said, wait, Mr. Good Vibes, I don't like how you talked about this. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
I got to pay attention to that one. I'm not paying attention to the 1,000, because the 1,000's great, but I want to hear what that one has to say, because maybe there's a weak spot there that I need to adjust or I need to cater to, right? Like, so that's how I look at it. I don't really pay attention to the outside world anymore.
That's what's going to make you great. That right there is what's going to make you great. What you just said right there is what's going to give you the longevity, because you're willing to listen to the one. And because that one is coming from a place of constructive criticism, they're going to grow you. That's something I'm very passionate about. I will also tell you this. When people tell you that you're only good because you're cool, I'm 39 years old. I'm still pretty cool. Like, my students always tell me, my mentees always tell me, like, cool is something you got. I mean, like, when you got it. Quincy Jones is like 80 something years old. Quincy Jones is still super cool. You know what I mean? So, like, please, man, like, I love the fire in you. I love what I see. I want to ask you this, because you're from Canada, and people, you know, in Canada, and you were in California during COVID. So you were in California when a lot of the protests were happening. What was that like for you?
So I left by May for my birthday.
Okay, all right. So it really got,
I was
got turned up in May.
It got a little crazy over there.
Yeah.
I actually would have wanted to witness, because a lot of my boys were there. And I think that stuff is cool. Like, I think everyone was fighting for a right cause, right? And there's a lot of negative stuff going on that I think voices needed to be heard. So it would have been cool for me to see it. And in Toronto here, we had some stuff going on, but it's nothing near the magnitude of what you guys have going on in the States. Yeah. And I'm well aware of that. But so unfortunately, I didn't fully get to experience, you know, even marching or participating or supporting those causes the way I would have wanted to.
So I guess is another question I have, just to follow up on that one, because there is an understanding, you know, that like other places don't have the quote unquote race issue that we have here in America. I know there's still probably racism in Canada, but can you speak to how like, if you've seen any differences in your time in both places?
Yeah, I think that's a misconception. There is definitely some racism stuff. Like, I've seen some stuff go on in Toronto. I actually have some of my older business partners or people I work with that are older than me by 10, 20 years, who have gone through some things on their own, and that's for their stories to tell. Yeah. But there's definitely cases, and yeah, it's still bad. I mean, I think right now the world is just in a space where there's too much negativity, right? And it's why I mainly got into speaking, because I want to help change it. And then I think I can't really do too much with the way things have already happened, but I could definitely participate and help the youth, which is the next generation, because they're still learning and developing their habits and realizing, wait, if this guy I idolize, Mr. Good Vibes, I think he's the coolest guy around. Maybe he's right. Maybe it's cool to be nice. Maybe I should stop picking on that kid, or I shouldn't be racist, or, you know, maybe, yeah, we just want to have good vibes. I'm going to work hard and be nice to people. If I could do that for all the kids I speak to, it's going to create a whole new world in 10, 20 years. I'm playing the long game here.
I love that, man. I love that. You're definitely going to win in the long game with that mindset and with that outlook on life. You definitely are going to win in the long term. So you said you started doing music. So do you like make music? Are you like a recording artist?
So, okay, this one's interesting. Because I do not sing or rap. I stay in my lane. I'm not a singer. I'm not a rapper. But what I did realize was, okay, I'm speaking over a beat at my shows. I play guitar. I have a band with me. I love music. I want to collab with artists one day, but I also want to stay in my lane and not try and cross over too much. What can I do that's natural? What if I created, for the students who ask me a bunch of questions on different topics, what if I created like motivational albums? Eric Thomas is actually this. It's kudos to him. Like, I've actually seen him do it, and it's executed very well. I want to do that in my own flair and style. Create motivational albums, get in the booth, use my speaking voice. This isn't my speaking voice. Like, I talk differently and there's sound effects, stuff that like, yeah, artists use. So I brand myself more as an artist. I do plan on releasing albums, and it'll be song styles like 2-3 minutes with instrumentals, me speaking on a motivational topic, the kids digesting it. Maybe before they go to bed, they need a topic on like, man, don't give up. Like, don't worry, she rejected you, but guess what? And blah 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 blah. Right? Like, you need to hear that sometimes. So I'm gonna drop some stuff like that. I'm gonna drop some fire.
All right, I love that, man. So once you get that rolling, I definitely want to hear it, man, because I'm excited about hearing, everything you got coming. I want to follow you all the way to the top and see, how far this thing goes for you, because I definitely think that, from what I see, I definitely see someone who Tony Robbins or anybody, ET, Les Brown, would be glad to have next on that list, man, because we need
Appreciate
people
it.
like you on that wall. I guess I'm gonna start to wrap up, but if what do you tell a young person that's maybe thinking, I'd like to get into to public speaking? What would you tell them?
I've had that like when I go to schools, when I was going to school in person, that's where the crazy engagement happens. I have kids message me after saying, I want to do what you do, bro. Like, how do I do it? Especially the high school students I would speak to. And I didn't anticipate me getting that question, because no one really grows up saying, hey, I want to be a public speaker. I mean,
Right.
I've never heard that until I actually got asked the question myself. So I was like, holy, like I might create a new wave of public speaking here, because kids are going to be like, yo, that looks cool and fun.
Yeah.
And the way he does it and the people he gets to meet along the way, like it's flashy. I get it. It's attractive. I would say there's two routes, right? Right now, I'm considered a motivational speaker with the kids. What a lot of people don't know is, with my marketing background and knowledge and the way I've positioned myself as an enterprise with the Mr. Good Vibes brand and Good Vibes Enterprises on our media side, I speak with corporations on a corporate level, where I'm going in there, there's no band, it's me just talking to the marketing team, delivering a keynote, which is way different than what I do on the flashy side. That's
Right.
business, that's keynote, that's data driven. It's completely different side. So if you want to be a motivational speaker, I'd say you got to have a story worth telling. That's just natural. Every motivational speaker has their own story and trial and tribulations. Two, you have to be in it for more than just the money or the attention you'll get on stage, or because you think it'll get you girls or guys or whatever. I think the cause behind it has to be just, right? When I started Good Vibes, I didn't know what it was going to turn into. I just knew I wanted to impact the world in a certain way. I think that's what will help you keep going if you ever experience down moments. And three, I think you have to be your own person. You have to be unique, because I could list like 100 public speakers here in Toronto, but then if you go into all of North America, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands. So what's going to make you stand out? And that's what I was able to do for myself. And it's why I'm experiencing the good moments we're having, because I said, I got to brand myself different. It's a war out there. I got to do something kids have never seen before if I want to stand out. So that's the three I would say for motivational speaking. If you're talking corporate level, you want to go get paid $40,000 for a keynote or whatever the price is, you want to get flown out, right? That comes at, you got to have a specific expertise. I use mine as Gen Z marketing. I understand this young generation. I'll help corporations market to them, advertise to them, and turn them into customers. That's what I speak as a Gen Z marketer, consultant, speaker, keynote, whatever. So that makes a lot of money for anyone looking to get into speaking.
All right. I love that, man. Listen, man, you have been an amazing guest. Even better than I thought. Like I knew you'd be dope, but like I just love your transparency and your openness and your willingness to share. That's what's gonna benefit you long term. Do you have any parting thoughts before we close?
I would just say we get one life, bro. Like everyone listening, whoever's listening, whenever you're watching this, if it's 10, 20 years from now, like we get one life. That's never going to change as far as we know right now. It's one shot at bat. And I think it's worth it to pursue the life you want to live, not on someone else's terms. Like, that's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, everyone's going to do what they want to do. I just hope it's something positive in the world and you work hard to get there.
Yeah, man. How can they find you on social media?
My Instagram is Mr. Good Vibes with 2 I's. That's where I'm most active. And if anything, LinkedIn, if it's an older audience, LinkedIn is my next best bet, which is just Mr. Good Vibes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, brother. And I look forward to seeing the great things that you do in the future. I know that you're going to be killing it. And I can't wait to see when they're listing the names of the greats and they say Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Mr. Good Vibes, and I'll be able to say he was on my show in the very
I
beginning.
appreciate
So I
it, bro.
appreciate it. Hey, man, keep doing what you do. Much love, much respect. And for those who are watching, thank you so much for watching this week. This has been Real Talk with Rajon, the local celebrity spotlight, episode 138, featuring the great Mr. Good Vibes. Please make sure that you have followed him on all socials. He gave his Instagram. If you're on LinkedIn, follow him on LinkedIn as well. If you are a corporate organization trying to get somebody to market to Gen Zers, he's your guy. Mr. Good Vibes is your guy. Next week, make sure you come back once again every week from 7 to 8 p.m. We do this. I can't remember who my guest is next week, so I'm not going to mention anybody and mess up their name. If you would like somebody to come out and speak at your event and you can't get Mr. Good Vibes, call me, Rajon Lewis. Go to my website, www.realtalkwithrajon. Check me out. I'd love to come out and speak at your event, even virtually. That's something we're definitely doing. And lastly, follow me on social media, all the social medias, Real Talk with Rajon, anywhere you can find it. Subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the Facebook, and stay in touch, man. Always remember God is everything, and without him, we are nothing, so never forget where your help comes from. And if a man doesn't stand for something, he is bound to fall for anything. Now, that is Real Talk. I will see y'all next week. Peace.